everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to talk about the flight controller, which is the core of my drone, which is the heart of my drone, and the GPS that plays an important role in navigation and also for autonomous flight modes. So first of all, let's talk about the flight controller. Now there are different kinds of flight controllers of different prices available in the market. For example, the APM or the ArduPilot Mega, the Pixhawk, then we have the DJI M-Lite, DJI NASA, and so on. So all these flight controllers provide with different kinds of functionalities, with different kind of features. There are different cheap flight controllers like the KK flight controller and so on. However, I have chosen the Radiolink Pixhawk. Pixhawk officially terminated its production many years back, but as their circuits were open source, there are many other companies that have started producing the flight controller, and Radiolink is one of them. Among all the clones, all the replicas, Radiolink's Pixhawk is the best one in terms of the sensors or the inertial measurement units they have used inside the flight controller, in terms of its performance and stability. So this is the Radiolink's Pixhawk is one of the best option. I repeat, there are different other manufacturers of Pixhawk, but you must go with the Radiolink Pixhawk in order to have the best performance. Again, you can use this flight controller in case of quadcopter, in case of hexacopter, in case of VTOL aircrafts, in case of many more unmanned aerial vehicles. But in case of your desired application, in case of your desired UAV, you have to upload the corresponding firmware version using the Mission Planner software. So now let's dive into the configuration of the flight controller. As you can see that there are different pins available here, and over here you can see that there are two portions. One is the auxiliary output and the other is the main output. I believe you can see the other is the main output. So the main output consists of the signal wires coming from the electronic speed controllers. The flight controller supplies the sufficient amount of PWM signals with the corresponding duty cycle in order to control the speed of the motors. So as you can see, for the quadcopter configuration, this is motor 1, this is motor 2 that will revolve in the counterclockwise direction, and this is motor 3 and this is motor 4 that will be rotating in the clockwise direction. So these main output, as you can see, this main output 1, 2, 3, 4 will respectively come from the signal wires from the ESC, respectively 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you have hexacopter or if you have octacopter, then you have to alter the clockwise and counterclockwise configuration. For example, this motor is counterclockwise, this motor is clockwise, this motor is counterclockwise, and this motor is clockwise. You have to alter these combinations, and you have to, in case of hexacopter, you need to attach 2 more pins over here. In case of octacopter, you have to attach 4 more pins over here. So over here you can see that there is an RC in port, Here you can see the negative, positive, and PWM, which is the signal pin. So the negative one is the ground, the positive one is the power port that will be supplying power to my 12 channel receiver. I mean, these 3 pins are eventually connected with my receiver, with the receiver of my radio system. So as you can see that there is an option over here. I'm focusing PPM. So I have extended these pins with this jumper wire up to the RC in pins of the flight controller. So the last one, starting from the top, the last one, that is the yellow one, is the signal pin. The plus one is the power pin that will be supplying power to my receiver, and the negative one is the ground or the reference. So as my receiver comes with the PPM encoder, I don't need any additional wires. But in case of the receivers not having the PPM encoders, you have to use a PPM encoder, and in that case it will require more space, more number of wires, and it will eventually make the configuration looking really messy. So in the auxiliary output, these are mainly used for any additional hardwares like for the camera gimbal, for the servo motors and so on. I'll be showing the application of the auxiliary output pins very shortly. Now let's talk about the different types of pins that are here. For example, this one is the serial port that is used to connect the flight controller with the microcontroller like Raspberry Pi, Jetson Nano, and so on. In the later videos, I'll be showing you the application of these serial ports. I have the GPS pin and the I2C pin. I have two ADC pins over here. One is providing 3.3 volt and the other is providing 6.6 volt. I have two telemetry pins here. This is the telemetry 1, telemetry 2. One is the primary telemetry and the other is the secondary telemetry. And it also comes up with the USB connectivity and the SPI communication interface, and it is powered by the power module. So you don't need any BEC connections from the ESC. Even my ESC doesn't come up with the BEC, because my flight controller is powered from the power module that came up with the Pixhawk flight controller. And along with the flight controller, some other accessories also came, like the buzzer, the safety switch, the different wires. These are most probably DF3 connectors, and the power module, which is just below the drone right over here. I don't think that you can see the power module, however. So that's all about the flight controller. It's really very stable. It gives you the best flight performance, and you can fly your vehicle using different autonomous modes, like the auto mode, the guided mode, the RTL. You can initiate the RTL or the smart RTL, which is return to launch mode on basis of the availability of GPS. You can perform advanced missions. You can perform mission plannings and then execute the mission autonomously, and so on. So this is one of the best flight controllers, even though it's a bit expensive, I should say, in terms of the other flight controllers like the APM or the ArduPilot Mega, the KK flight controller, and so on. But in terms of those, it comes up with a wide range of features. It comes with a 32-bit ARM architecture based STM32 based processor. So the processing speed of the flight controller is also greater in terms of the other cheaper ones. The safety switch is usually used for safety purpose, in order to, before arming the vehicle, it has to be pressed. Pressing the safety switch, it ensures that the vehicle is ready to be armed. After that, you can arm the vehicle, after you have pressed on the safety switch. But before then, no matter what you try with your radio transmitter, you can't arm the vehicle. So that's the function of the safety switch. So that's all about my flight controller. This is the forward direction of my drone. So you can see the arrow over here. It must be pointed forward. And there is an RGB LED. Currently it's not powered on. So the RGB, different states of the RGB LED will indicate different states of the flight controller, different states of the vehicle. For example, if it is blinking red and blue, followed by the RGB configuration, that means the system is initializing the built-in sensors, the different components of the inertial measurement units, like the accelerometer, gyroscope, or compass. If it is blinking yellow, that means the system has not been armed. If it is blinking green, that means the system is ready to be armed. And if it is constantly green, it means that the system has been armed. Next to the flight controller, I'm going to talk about the GPS. I'm using the Radiolink SE100 GPS. As you can see, it's from Radiolink. This one is not available in Bangladesh. In our country, the one which comes with the M10N chip is available, but my one is the Radiolink SE100 V2. I believe you can see Radiolink SE100 V2. V2 means that it comes with the M10N chip. So there are two variants of the Radiolink SE100. The basic one is the Radiolink SE100 V1, or the basic one that comes with the M8N chip, and the later one, the V2, is the one that comes with the M10N chip, which is not available, rarely available in Bangladesh. So I got this bought from France. So this GPS, the best part of this GPS is that it connects with the satellites within a very short time, even indoor, within the walls of my room. I mean, in my room, which is totally enclosed by walls, the GPS connects with around 11 to 15 satellites just after powering up the device. And if I get outside in the open space, just after powering up the entire system, the GPS, the SE100 GPS, connects with over 20 satellites within a fraction of seconds. So the best part of using this GPS is that it doesn't have any kind of latency, and the accuracy that it gives you, it offers you a positional accuracy of around 50 centimeter. And as the value after M increases, for example, the other variant M8N chip, that comes with slightly greater latency than the M10N chip. As the value after M increases, the performance, the accuracy, the positional accuracy, the latency, everything improves with that. So this is the best part of the M10N chip, of using the M10N chip, and it communicates with the flight controller followed by the I2C communication protocol. So there are two set of wires. One set of wire is being connected with the GPS port, and the other set of wire is being connected with the I2C port. So it's quite clear that the GPS module, the Radiolink SE100 GPS module, communicates with the flight controller followed by the I2C communication protocol. And the GPS is very important for flying your vehicle in loiter mode, which is position lock. In that case, the vehicle or the UAV, in our case the drone, will maintain its position. If you want to enable the RTL feature, which is the return to launch feature, if you want to enable the geofence bridge feature, then in that case the functionality of the GPS is indispensable. So for accuracy, for autonomous modes, for autonomous navigation, for safety, in case your vehicle is getting out of range, for example, in case of radio failsafe, in case the vehicle is out of the range of the radio transmitter, in case of battery failsafe, the flight controller can be programmed as such. It initiates the RTL feature. RTL stands for return to launch. In that case, the vehicle will return to the position from where it was launched. So these are a few of the best things about this flight controller and about the GPS, and both of these stuffs are from Radiolink, and they are officially from Radiolink. So that's all about these two components. In the later videos, I'll be showing you the detailed description and demonstration of different flight modes that I've been talking for the last few minutes, like the loiter mode, the altitude hold mode, the acro mode, the guided mode, the autonomous mode, and so on. The RTL mode, etc, etc. So that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye for now.